Did it say it? Did it tell you it was recording to the cloud?
Yeah,
Okay,
it
cool.
does.
All right. I'm going to just edit that part out. I at least know how to do that part. Okay. Are you doing all the things, but not making any money? Like literally doing everything that you possibly could think of, but yet the money isn't showing up. If that sounds like you are in the right place. In this episode, we're going to discuss just those things. As you all know, my name is Leslie Urbis. I'm a registered dietitian and a personal trainer. And as I love to say, a selfless overachiever in recovery, teaching women how to wholly embrace themselves. And today, we're going to talk about this myth, this thing, this issue that nobody really wants to talk about, like the pink cow that's standing in the room, but we want to not acknowledge it. So I have an awesome guest who was an amazing teacher, mentor, still is of mine, Mary Lou Rodriguez, who is going to talk to us about just this. So welcome to the show, Mary Lou. How are you?
Hi, Leslie. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to chat with you about money.
Yeah, agreed, right? It's a topic that everybody wants to hear about, but some of us were taught not to talk about, but you
Yeah,
absolutely need it, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So I'm sure everybody's curious, you're on and we're going to talk about money. What
Yeah.
is your expertise? Tell us a little bit about yourself in your own words and how you help people around the subject of money.
Yeah. So I'm Mary Lou Rodriguez and I'm a hypnotherapist. I call myself a brain training expert and a money mentor. And I work with really talented, really gifted entrepreneurs who are really good at what they do, but they're not making the money. And so my job is to help them understand what the blocks are, what their energy is, what is getting in the way of them being able to create the wealth that they desire. So I like to tell people that I help them rewire their brains for 6 and 7 figure success because people understand what that means right out of the gate. So that's what I do in the world. I love to specialize with wealth and success because those two were the biggest challenges that I faced in my life. And so it took me such a long time to understand how to have a different relationship with money. So I feel like I can relate to anybody's money problems. There's nothing that somebody can throw at me that I cannot understand or help them through because I've been through it all. And now I'm on the other side of it and I love to teach people like what is really getting in the way, and sometimes it's deeper than what they think. So I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I love that. And I want to talk about that too. But, for those listeners that are just going to tune out in 5.2 seconds, right?
Yeah.
What I have all the problems, right? I
Yeah.
feel like I'm doing it all. I'm
Yeah.
100% going at it. I'm the most consistent person in the world, which I could say that
Yeah.
was totally me. Okay. But
Yep.
the money isn't coming.
Yeah.
And I'm on a conversation with you.
Yeah.
Where do you take it from
Yeah.
there when somebody asks you that?
So there's different things that I'm looking at when I'm having this conversation with people. One is, what do they believe about wealth? What are their, it's like, what are their money beliefs? The standard, what are their patterns? How did they grow up? How are they conditioned with money? I also am taking into account their energy, like what they're not saying, what's below their conscious awareness that they may not even understand or remember, that they learned when it comes to money. So I'm looking at the energetic piece, which is their thoughts and their feelings that are below their conscious awareness is the easiest way for me to say that. And then I'm also looking at, how do they feel about their business? I mean, is this something that they love, or is this something that feels like they're pushing a rock up a hill, trying to make it something that they love? So if I can sense and I start to have a conversation with them about how they feel like this is their money making business, but they don't actually really love what they're doing, that's what I call internal conflict. So I'm looking at beliefs, I'm looking at patterns, I'm looking at energy, and I'm looking at internal conflict when it comes to um, them creating wealth and the vehicle in which they're creating the wealth in, which is typically their business.
Love that. Yeah, definitely. I can see so many of those things too from when, I initially started chatting with you and working with you. For those of you that are out there, I definitely think that there was a combination of that, an internal
Yeah.
conflict, as well as maybe even an own punishment in a way of me punishing myself for things. And people don't really see that
Yeah.
we're almost punishing ourselves, okay, well, you didn't get a client today, so now you got to get six today. And then when you don't get six, it's like, okay, 12 tomorrow. And we stay in this
Right.
punishment mode.
Yep.
And we know how well that didn't work for us
Yeah.
when we were little, right? Like
Yeah.
mom would punish us and we'd be like, okay, whatever,
Yeah.
you know? So
Yeah.
it's not very helpful in terms of everything. So I love that. And for those people that maybe, quite don't understand the conscious, like below your
Yeah.
conscious awareness,
Yeah.
um,
You.
go ahead. Yeah. Is
Thank
there
you.
something that you
Yeah,
want to add
no,
to that?
that's
Yeah.
so great. Thank
Yeah.
you. So what I mean by that is we have, just to keep it really super simple, we have the conscious mind, which is the part of the brain that we're using now to have this conversation. And then just to keep it simple, and then the subconscious mind is where all of our feelings are, our beliefs are, our our long-term memory, our spirituality. And the thing about our subconscious mind is the subconscious mind is driving the show because it's 95% of the brain. And so we use 5% with our conscious mind. So when I talk about below the conscious awareness, I mean what's in the other 95% of your brain that you believe about money. Is that a is that an easy way to understand it?
Yeah, yeah. And I don't know if you've seen Inside Out 2. I obviously have because I have two small children. And Inside Out 2 does this drastic job for those of you that have seen it, uh, in explaining that of like the emotions are up top in your conscious mind, right? Different things are
Yeah.
mentioning that. And then in the second one is where they did this. In the first one, they didn't have it because she was below a certain age. In the second one, she hits puberty. And like that's where they show this subconscious mind and like a sense of self. And in the subconscious mind, they literally show them getting into an elevator from the conscious mind, going down to the subconscious mind where all of the beliefs are planted,
Oh my
right?
gosh.
And you see in the story how they create good beliefs, create bad beliefs. And that is 100% what she's getting at here is that's what she helps is with those, just like you've seen in Inside Out 2, with that piece.
Yes.
And I think it's good to tie that in because the thing is that people watch that and they think, oh, this is a great movie. Now I understand why I'm having anxiety attacks, which is the
Yeah.
focus because they bring anxiety in, but it's not highlighted enough for people to understand that that is legit it. Like all of those beliefs that are rooted there, you're not going to be able to change unless you do some rewiring to be able to bring in a new belief, which is kind of what they show in the end with her changing her inner sense of self off and on to which one she's choosing. But that's
Wow.
still in lack of control slightly. And
Yeah.
you really help us to control, okay,
Yes.
this belief might be solidified of I'm not worthy. That's something that she says in her thing. She says, I'm not good enough is something she repeats to herself right before she has this massive anxiety attack. She literally says, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. And that's what's resounding in her brain over and over and over. And we do that, right? I know that I did that for a long
Yeah.
period of time where that was playing in my head.
Yep.
And the awesome thing about Mary Lou is she literally will help you to see, oh, that belief is down there that they teach you. I'm literally flicking a string because that's what they do. And she's able to help you to know, okay, well, that is one. I don't want to call on that belief anymore. I want to call on the one next to it that's like, I'm a good person. I'm worthy. I am enough. And that's really where, she gets
Yeah.
into this expertise of being able to help you.
Oh, I love that that movie does that. And it's
Yeah,
so
it's a
beautiful.
fabulous movie.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely watch that because I haven't seen it. But why the subconscious mind is so important is because, so maybe in the first movie they didn't have it, because from the ages of 0 to 7, you're all subconscious. It's like, and what that means is that your brain is like a sponge and you're absorbing everything that's being modeled to you, that's being told to you. And you're not able to discern whether something that somebody's telling you is truth or not. So you just believe it. It goes into your brain like a program. And it's a program like I'm not good enough. We could call it a belief that is on a loop. It loops for the rest of your life. If you don't change that belief, it will still so for example, had the little girl grown up with I'm not good enough, that would have been a program that would still, a belief that would still play out for her. And she wouldn't even know it necessarily. Nobody's walking around for the most part saying I'm not good enough. It's just how they think automatically.
Agreed. I think that's the most awesome piece. So now I've got this business, right? Okay.
Yeah.
I've got this business. I'm
Yeah.
creating what I
Yeah.
think is awesome. I'm doing all the steps. Maybe I have a strategy coach. My strategy is 100% in place. As I
Yeah.
literally say, this was me in 2020 when I started my business. My strategy was awesome. And I looked at my coach and I was like, listen, I know it's mental.
Yeah.
And at that moment, I knew it was mental, but I
Yeah.
can't say that I really solved my problem then. But I knew it was like, it is not strategy. It is not all the
Yeah.
pieces. It is mental. So what is next?
Yes.
And
So
with
good.
that being said, somebody comes to you with that. What's kind of like
Yeah.
your approach? Do you have an approach or a place you start them or?
Yeah, and it makes sense that you would think it's strategy, right? And I'm not saying that strategy can't be improved, but for the most part, the people that I work with, they have these incredible strategies that can bring in new clients, new revenue, whatever it is that they're looking for specifically, but you can have $1 million strategy, but if you don't have the beliefs to back up $1 million strategy, then it's not worth $1 million. Does that make sense? It's like so 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 we think it's the strategy, but like Leslie, she realized, it's mental, it's in my mind. And one of the things that I want to say is that, and I just had this discussion yesterday in my program, um, where somebody was trying to figure out why she has why money's not coming in essentially. And when I was able to coach her and ask her questions, because a lot of times people don't understand how they really feel about money. They think they love it, they think they want it in their lives, but they don't really know. So that's one question I would ask your audience is, to journal about it, to think about it, like, how do I really feel about money? And just notice, like, because people will like say to me, oh, I love money, but if you really love money, you would have a lot of it because you love it and it would just be
Mhm.
around you. And so yesterday we were able to realize that this woman has shame. The truth is, she had one parent that came from wealth and she had one parent that came from poverty. And so she grew up believing that there was a divide and she felt less than her whole life because her mother, who had come from money, essentially, chose a pauper, as she had said, she's from the UK.
I love it.
And so she grew up. So the truth about how this particular person felt about money was shame. So just think about
Mm.
this. If you feel shame, and this is what I mean by below your conscious awareness or what's in the other 95% of your brain, if you have shame with money, you are going to have a very hard time attracting it into your life because the thing is, you might get it, but you might spend it. You might get it, you might spend it. You're pushing it away because you don't feel good about it in your body and in your mind. Does that make sense? So part of
Totally.
what yeah, go ahead, Leslie. Yeah.
No, go
Yeah.
ahead. Good. You finish.
No, it's like this is so impactful. This is like one of the best things that you can understand is what is your real relationship? Not the relationship you want with money, but the real relationship. How do you really feel about it? Because when you can understand that maybe money creates anxiety, money equals pain, money equals shame, or money equals guilt, because a lot of us have that based on how we were raised and what we were taught about money. We just don't know it, but we know the results that we're getting in our business, and it's not money. And so part of this is looking at, the real feelings that you have with wealth, and we're not shaming ourselves for it or judging ourselves for it. We are growing, and it's so beautiful because when you can understand what your relationship is, like how you really do feel about money, then you can begin to change it. But until you understand, if you're not creating wealth in your life, that's one of the first questions I would ask.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And I think it's so interesting because my relationship with money has changed almost every time with myself, right?
Yeah.
My growing up self of like, I'm going to save everything. And I was such a saver. I was a great saver. I started saving when I was really, really little. I had a little safe and everything that my sisters broke
So
into, but
cute.
we won't go there.
Oh,
Um, but yeah, so I had a safe and then once I first got a job and I started to make really good money over the summer between junior to senior year. And then when they were like, oh, you're not going to play softball, you'll just sit on the bench, you'll play maybe 1 or 2 games. I was like, okay, forget it. I don't want to sit on a bench. I'm going to stay working because I might as well earn money instead of
yeah.
cheer other people on and be bored out of my mind. So I quit and I started working and I loved all of that. And then when I worked for somebody else, the money mindset was completely
Yeah.
different than when I first started being an entrepreneur. And I think
Yeah.
that that's something that people should pay attention to. If you're a brand new entrepreneur, or maybe you were making the money and then it stopped. Potentially it was something that occurred that brought you back to a trigger.
Yeah.
And now that you're solely making money on your own, that's a huge difference of
Totally.
everything.
Yeah.
And that's truthfully like I've seen my relationship with money evolve and
Yeah.
almost over which area I was with a parent, you know?
Yeah, totally.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And, for me, when I hear you say that, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs who, work for corporate America or wherever it is, and then decide to become entrepreneurs, they're not, and it makes sense, right? We're not really entirely sure that we can do it on our own. So can I create income on my own, consistent income that I desire versus receiving a paycheck? So first and foremost, it's so courageous for, entrepreneurs to follow their hearts. Like, we're badasses. And then I just wanted to like touch on a few points, Leslie, if that's okay, because I want people to understand what some of the invisible barriers are to wealth that they may not understand.
Yeah.
So if you have, like, let's just use the example of shame, right? If you feel shame for wealth, imagine how, and it's deep, right? It may not even be, this is deep. Like, she had no recollection. Like, I had to dig with her, which was great. It was fun, to get to the root. But um, if you don't feel like you have a great relationship with money, and let's just say you're starting out, or maybe you've been at it for a year or maybe even longer, but if you have the belief that you're not sure that you can create wealth, I want you to understand how you're really showing up in your day-to-day life. You're showing up in your day-to-day life unconsciously, so below your conscious awareness, with the belief that I may not be able to do this. I don't know if I'm good enough. I don't know if I believe in myself enough. And then the feelings in your body with money, which is shame. So I want people to understand that the way that they're showing up in their day-to-day life is not their most abundant self. It is not their
Mhm.
wealthiest self, and it's not our faults. This is why I love to teach about wealth, because I want people to understand that it's you may not even be able to, you don't even probably know what's going on if you've never done a deep dive into your wealth consciousness. And so I want people to know that a lot of times when they're doing all the things, which is where we started off with this conversation, you're doing all the things, but in what energy are you doing all the things? Are you doing all the things in the energy of, I don't feel good because I have shame with money, and you wouldn't know this, but I'm just walking you through it.
Yeah.
And in the energy of, I don't know if I can do this on my own. I don't know if I'm good enough. So I just want people to understand that the energy in which they're showing up in their day-to-day life is probably in lack, and it's not our fault. It's not our fault. And so my
Yeah.
job, I want to empower 1 million entrepreneurs to break free from scarcity and lack and limitation, and help them begin to live an abundant life. And so I just wanted to say that, because I know we started out with all the things, and I wanted people to understand that you can do all the things all day long. But if you do not believe in yourself, and if you do not feel good about money, you're not making it.
Agreed. Completely.
Leslie's quiet as she stares at me.
No, it was great. It was great. And I love that. So, okay, I'm listening and
Mhm.
I love everything you're saying. Where do I
Yeah.
go next? Where can
Yeah.
I intermingle with you, learn more, uncover more, decide that, okay, she's probably right because all this makes total sense. How do I do more with you?
Yeah. Yeah. So you can, so marylourodriguez.com, and I'll give Leslie the link, /millionaire is marylourodriguez.com /millionaire. This is a great PDF to begin to help you understand how you think and feel about money. What are your beliefs with money? And then there's an audio that's a part of it to help you begin to rewire that 95% of your brain, the subconscious, to begin to get it in alignment with what you want to create in your life. And I call it, it's like what you want to create consciously with the 5% of your brain, what you want to create. So to get your subconscious and your conscious on board and aligned with what you truly desire. So marylourodriguez.com /millionaire, or on Instagram, Mary Lou Hypnotizes You.
I love it. And both of those links will be right below this video. So where you're watching, just click, learn more, jump in. I would definitely recommend all of those things. Any final words you want to leave with everybody listening?
I want to say that, part of, and I started off with this at the beginning, where I had such a horrible relationship with money, and I knew it because I wasn't creating it. And once I was able to get over to the other side and understand how to think and feel differently about money, it's changed everything. So I want people to know, don't give up. Don't give up. Like, I promise you, if you have a desire in your heart, you will be led, like to Leslie and to myself, and you will begin to understand how to become, how to feel differently, how to bring in the money. So I just want to say, don't give up.
I love that. And I love how you said how to bring in the money, because that's what
Yeah.
people are listening to this for. So you heard it. I would recommend you definitely go grab those things. I know both of them and I follow her, so you should do the same. Outside of that, thank you all for listening. As always, it's been a fit and fabulous time. For those of you listening, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. And as always, bye for now. I will see you on the next episode.
Bye, everyone.